Let's overreact to small sample sizes. Up next on Fantasy Baseball Today Express. Welcome into FBT Express on Wednesday, April 23rd. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Chris Towers. Some young hitters who are performing early on, and this is what I was referring to. Very small sample sizes for all players right now, but even more so for these names we're about to talk about. Noelvi Marte hit an absolute laser of a home run in Miami, 116.7 miles per hour off the bat. Speaking of Miami, Agustin Ramirez, another impressive game. He's only played 2 of them, but 3 for 3 with a walk and 2 doubles. The exit velocities for those, 106.7, 111.2, so just awesome stuff. And Luke Keeschel batting third for the Twins already. He went 1 for 2 with 2 walks, 2 steals, and 2 runs scored. Chris, all 3 of these names under 30% rostered. What size formats, what size leagues are you looking to add these names, if any? Marte, Ramirez, Luke Keeschel.
I would say any roto league for all 3 of them, because that's the deeper format. It's where you have middle infield spots, corner infield spots, 2 catchers. I think all 3 of these guys are worth a look. I will say Keeschel batting third in his 4th major league game might actually be the most interesting thing, or at least the most actionable thing among these, just because, look, performance is what it is, right? Like, you can have 2 good games and be a bad player. I don't think that's the case with Ramirez, but it's possible. But Keeschel, like, the Twins clearly believe in him. The Twins clearly like him. This is a sign that this might not just be, well, we're banged up and we need a body, which is what I kind of assumed Keeschel's promotion was, and he was going to be sent back down eventually. If they're already hitting him third, they might really just believe that he's a key part of their lineup moving forward, in which case, yeah, there's a bunch of upside here. He's got 3 stolen bases in his first 4 games. I think Ramirez is probably the most interesting of the 3 in terms of talent, just because we're talking about a catcher who went 2020 at the minor league level last season. He's not like a huge athlete, but he's an aggressive, opportunistic base hitter or base stealer who has some speed. And yeah, I mean, we've seen now 3 batted balls, I think over 105 miles an hour in the first 2 games for Agustin Ramirez. It's exactly what you wanted to see from him, because there's huge upside here, and he needs to prove that he can stick around for the Marlins, maybe get some DH opportunities. You'd love to see that as well.
Let's take a look at one waiver wire pitcher from Tuesday's action. Mitchell Parker, now 5 for 5 in quality starts. He was up against the Orioles, where he threw 8 shutout innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, 10 whiffs on 99 pitches. We kind of differed a little bit on the full-length podcast here, Chris. I think the secondaries are kind of interesting. Maybe he can squeeze something out of that fastball. I don't think he's anywhere close to as good as he's looked thus far. Where are you at on Mitchell Parker, who's 70% rostered right now?
Well, here's the other thing with Mitchell Parker is we did this last year, right? Remember the first 16 starts of last season? He had a 3.44 ERA, 7.3 K per 9, 1.9 walks per 9. Underlying stats weren't nearly as good as that, but hey, he had a half season with a 3.44 ERA. That's great. His underlying numbers are actually kind of worse right now. His walk rate's higher. His strikeout rate's lower. His xFIP is 466. I am pretty skeptical that Mitchell Parker is going to keep this up, especially since we already saw a good stretch from him last year that he was completely unable to sustain. So I tend to lean towards it not being sustainable.
All right, let's take a break, and we'll be back right after this.
The clock never stops. Relive the greatest moments with uninterrupted highlights and more.
It's Gareth Bale! Ronaldo! Wonderful goal!
On the UEFA Champions League channel. Streaming free.
Welcome back in FBT Express, and we did get some big news here on Tuesday. Cristopher Sanchez left his start early with left forearm soreness, and his velocity was down here. Sinker down 1.2 miles per hour. Changeup was down 1.8 miles per hour. And notably, his velocity was up a lot early on this season. So perhaps that contributed to the injury. We don't know much as of now, but I would almost bet on an IL stint here, and perhaps it turns into much worse for Cristopher Sanchez.
Yeah, the post-game comments from Sanchez and manager Rob Thompson were downplaying the severity of the injury. They don't think that there's something structural there. Until you get an MRI, you really can't know. But hopefully they caught this before it became a serious injury. Look, anytime you're throwing harder, you're putting more stress on the ligaments. There's always going to be increased injury risk. It's also just true that if Sanchez wasn't throwing harder, I think it's fair to say he would not be pitching as well as he had been to open the season, and we wouldn't be as upset about the injury. So it's that constant push and pull of balancing risk and upside that goes with any pitcher. And I hope it's nothing serious. It does make Ranger Suarez's return to the rotation a little more easy. They were probably just going to pull Taijuan Walker out of the rotation anyway, but now there should be a spot with Ranger Suarez. And, he's about 70-75% rostered. Let's not forget he was a must-start pitcher in the first half last season. So I do still think Ranger Suarez is someone you need to keep an eye out for if he's available in your league.
I do wonder if this is a long-term injury for Cristopher Sanchez. Does this maybe accelerate the timeline for their top pitching prospect, Andrew Painter?
Probably not. Just because they're thinking long-term, they're thinking not just long-term, like down the road, years down the road, but this season. They want Andrew Painter, who's coming back from Tommy John surgery. I think he threw like 11 innings at the end of the season at the Arizona Fall League. They want him available to pitch in the postseason. And the only way they're going to be able to do that is if he doesn't really start pitching regularly until May or June. I think he's made one start so far. It was like two or three innings. I think they're going to have to be very cautious with Painter no matter what. They also, I think, have I know Taijuan Walker's not good, but if that's your fifth starter, it's not the worst thing in the world when you have the high-end guys that they do.
And Corey Seager left Tuesday's game with right hamstring tightness. No surprise, Seager has dealt with a bunch of hamstring injuries throughout his career. There's another one, Chris. We have to maybe wait a little bit to get an update, but I would almost bet on Corey Seager also landing on the IL.
Yeah, hamstring injuries, it's usually safe to bet on an IL stint, and that's probably especially true with a guy who's missed the amount of time Corey Seager has in his career with hamstring injuries. So I would be surprised if he doesn't go on the IL as well.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today Express, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.